Well, good afternoon. This is Hank Barnett. I'm very pleased to welcome you to this news conference. I'm especially pleased to recognize and welcome Bill Van Sant, Chairman and CEO of Lukens. This morning, we had some exciting news indeed, in which we announced that Bethlehem and Lukens had signed a definitive merger agreement. Many of you have perhaps seen that release and had occasion to study it. Perhaps it would be helpful to just touch on some of the highlights of the transaction itself and the release. In terms of value, the value of the transaction is about $650 million, including our assumption of $250 million of Lukens debt. The equity value of the transaction is about $400 million and is based on Bethlehem paying $25 for each share of Luken common stock that's outstanding on the date of the closing. We plan to issue a Bethlehem common stock representing about 38% of the total equity and pay cash for the remaining 62%. Well, so much for the economic side of the transaction. Why are we doing this? We absolutely believe that this merger has significant strategic benefits to Bethlehem and to Lukens, and that this combination will establish Bethlehem Lukens as the premier plate business in North America and, in my personal view, in the world. We plan to continue the strengths of each company to create what we believe will be a globally competitive, customer-focused plate business with the broadest range of plate products in the industry, which of course will add stockholder value over time. We believe it will result in the best utilization of our facilities, really for both companies, significant synergies, improved customer satisfaction, and overall lower costs. Now, there will be a transition period required to integrate the plate operations of our two companies, and we expect that the combination will certainly be accretive and increase our earnings per share. We expect the transaction to be closed by the early second quarter of 1998, subject, of course, to approval by Lukens shareholders and regulatory authorities. We're looking at ways to maximize the value of Lukens' light, flat-rolled stainless business and its Washington specialty metals business. Our core business is plate, and by joining with Lukens, we have carbon, alloy, and stainless plate as the center of this new plate division. We plan, therefore, to divest the assets in the lighter flat-rolled stainless sheet business and the distribution business. For an appropriate period of time, all 6 of the existing plate mills would continue to operate, but the business on Lukens' Coatesville 206-inch plate mill and our Sparrows Point 160-inch plate mill will in time be consolidated with our two companies' other 4 mills. This combination also should significantly reduce costs and improve the utilization of the 4 remaining mills. Now, after the combination of the two companies, Bethlehem's annual sales, excluding the Lukens stainless and distribution business, will be about $5.5 billion per year, and our annual shipments about 10 million tons. That, briefly, is an introductory remark about the transaction and what we hope to achieve from the transaction. A word to Bethlehem employees, many of whom in due course will see a video of this conference, and a very special word to Lukens employees. As a company, we are absolutely delighted with the results of this negotiation and the opportunity to bring 2 such distinguished companies together. We want to work constructively through the transition period. We want to bring out the very best, all our employees in the 2 companies, the culture of these 2 great companies. I've just had the privilege of speaking to Governor Ridge, who's asked that it be conveyed in his behalf his support for this transaction, how proud he is to see two great Pennsylvania companies bringing together and causing such a competitive business on a global basis to be established. And I thought really, while this is still introductory, that it might be helpful to you and quite appropriate for Bill Van Sant to also make a brief comment in behalf of Lukens. So Bill, may I turn this over to you?
Thank you very much, Hank. As we told the group earlier today, the culmination of the last 2 or 3 days has brought together two very old, very successful, and really very powerful stainless plate entities. One which was a part of Bethlehem, and of course Lukens was a standalone group for many, many years, 187 years, as it turns out. There is a time, however, when you look at the rapidly changing global industry, when, in order to be more pro-competitive, you look for other strategic avenues to follow. And it was apparent to us over the last 12 or 18 months that it was time for us to find a strategic partner where we could combine our strengths with their strengths and at the same time shed some weaknesses for sake of being a stronger company in the longer term for our employees and for our shareholders and for our customers. I side with Hank by saying we're very pleased to announce the combination, the merger today. We say it's 1 + 1 = 3. Over the last 5 years, we've invested a lot of money in Lukens. We've had a $350 million capital improvement program and put on stream some highly modern technologies for making both thin gauge coil plate as well as our heavier gauge alloys and carbon and heat treated carbon plates. And so we bring to the party a new set of technologies which we think will lend themselves well to the Bethlehem product line. We bring a very seasoned workforce, and Hank, we're very pleased to be here today. I think, as we said earlier, the industry is crying for consolidation. Others have attempted it, but Bethlehem and Lukens have now made it happen. And I think it's a tribute to our teams, Hank, to our vision, our team's visions, which we give them all credit for. And as we go forward, I'm sure the benefits of what we've done will be self-evident. So thank you very, very much.
Shake your hand for this press conference, as I have many times before. I congratulate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your being here today.
Thank you.
And really with that, let us take your questions, and if I may, would like to start with questions here. Wendy?
Could you talk a little bit about the philosophy of investing in this plate manufacturer and why plate use is being emphasized, and also what the Sparrows Point mill had in common with this that required it to be shut down?
Question is a strategic question about the plate business. I think our core strategy is to concentrate on steel, rebuild our financial strength, and improve continuously. They're the three strategies. It's concentrate on the steel business, and within steel, we've identified those steel products that we will cause to be our core and in which we will be premier, and plate is one of those products. And so how do we increase our cost and quality competitiveness, product range, customer service in that product? And as we examine there's just the enormous qualities and strengths that Lukens has, and that will be even increased when Lukens and Bethlehem come together, when we just saw a natural strategic fit. And we believe that's what the external world is seeing as they hear about this and learn about it.
How is the acquisition going to affect what you guys have been doing to your pension funds to try and pay down some of the liability?
Well, because of the just the remarkable progress in funding the pension trust and the performance of the investment by our pension trustees, we have made very, very substantial progress just this year. And we believe the Bethlehem liability will be well under $500 million. And you'll recall it was $1.6 billion in 1993, and that's a that's a responsibility. It's a liability, but it's a responsibility that we have every intention, given adequate levels of profitability, of fully funding within a matter of just a few years. The Lukens liability is quite small, and so ours will be down, and theirs is way, way down to start with.
When the 6 plants become 4, what will that mean for employees of both companies? Will that mean any changes for them?
Yes, there'll be a reduction in force levels, for example, at our Sparrows Point division. Very small reduction, Bill, at your plate facility. There can be, simply as a result of the reorganization and the blending together of the two companies, it's quite possible that there will be ways and opportunities to do things more effectively, efficiently. It's always quite possible that employees in either of our companies would elect their retirement benefits. That whole host of things could happen. We're in the very early planning stages. Please bear with us on this, and we're in, I call the second stage. Pre-signing is perhaps stage 1, and we're in the pre-closing phase now, where focus is planning and trying to decide what we will be doing and how we will be doing it, and we're through the transaction aspects now. Give us maybe a little more time, and we'll have a much more complete report for you on that.
Mr. Van Zandt, I have this, could you tell me whether this was a wrenching decision to sell the company, the independence of the company? It has a very storied history, and I know the stainless prices are weak, and you had some trouble with where there was this dissident shareholder group, but could you just give me the kind of the narrative on how this all unfolded? The short one, anyway.
Looking back, Bob, it's a wrenching decision. Lukens is one of the 9 oldest operating companies in the U.S., the oldest continuously operating steel company in America, and really the plate producer of some stature for 150 plus years. So when you look back, it's very wrenching, and it's a decision that was not taken lightly. Looking forward, it's absolutely the right decision. As I mentioned earlier in the comments, the industry is changing so rapidly that those who can, as I say, complement each other's strengths, become more efficient and pro-competitive, while at the same time growing in size and offering great opportunities for top-line, bottom-line growth, those are going to be the winners in the future. And we believe that as we look forward, we're moving towards that kind of environment with Bethlehem. And so looking forward, once you get by the pain of the decision in the near term, we think there's some very long-term benefits to be realized by both parties. As to your question about dissident shareholders and stainless prices, the decision was by no way related to any of that. It was a strategic decision based on business principles.
I was just wondering if you could comment about any potential changes to Burns Harbor and how this merger might affect either output or employment levels out of Burns Harbor.
Well, I think Burns Harbor's ability to serve its plate customers will be strengthened. Burns Harbor will have an opportunity to, I guess it's a way of saying, concentrate on those product areas that Burns Harbor can truly do the best, and it can. But its operating efficiencies, its product services will be increased. So we see this as a very, very positive move for Burns Harbor.
I was just wondering if you could talk about the timing of this, and not for the corporation, but for the industry, and why you think it's a good time to be investing in a plate maker of this caliber.
That's a very excellent question, and if you believe that, and we at Bethlehem do, that you must set your strategy and then take those actions necessary to implement that strategy, then you must constantly focus on what your core businesses are and ask yourself, how do we improve them and strengthen them? That's what we've done in plate. And as we look at these global forces at work, when the opportunity to have constructive discussions with a company like Lukens and permit you to measure your strengths and your weaknesses, but your combined strength is if you can combine the two companies, then it's like so much else in business or in our personal lives, there is a moment. There's a moment that you can bring these businesses together. And that's always a question of many both internal and external forces, but at that moment you must act. And for Bethlehem and Lukens, that moment occurred this past weekend.
I was wondering, you talked about on several occasions about how this is a global market. You need to find global markets for now the Bethlehem Lukens plate products.
Right.
Can you tell us where you see markets where you think you can successfully compete abroad?
Yes. There are two different ways to answer that. One is my preferred way, and that's the very general answer. And this is the answer we have to drive home each and every day on every occasion, and we will be competitive as the United States steel industry in every foreign market that is open where trade is fair. I'm repeating myself, for which I apologize, but that's the fundamental principle. Now, we can talk about specific product applications in specific foreign countries where our plate is far more likely to be receptive, and those tend to be very broad-based. There will be opportunities in Europe, in South America, in Asia, country by country, product by product. But for us to continue to have as a business model to try to find niche markets to place our high-quality products is the wrong approach. And what we have to start standing up for is to open every world market and cause trade there to be just as fair as it is here, and the markets there to be just as open if they are here. Believe me, if we can do that, it isn't just plate, but it will be rail and 10 mil, cold roll, and all of the great steel products that American, not just Bethlehem and Lukens, but that American manufacturers can make and put into that world market. We're excited about the prospects of fair world competition, and particularly with the products that are going to come out of the Bethlehem Lukens plate division. Now, there endeth my sermon, but I feel strongly about it.
That's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. That will end our press conference, and thank all of you very much. We'll be on again in January, end of January, with our quarterly results, and hope you'll join us then. And really, from everyone at Lukens, everyone at Bethlehem, happy holidays to you. Thank you.